Hello and welcome to Blythe Business News. Today we're joined by Oriole Resources, and I have with me the Chief Executive, Tim Livesey, and his colleague, Bob Smeeton, the Chief Financial Officer. So, Tim, you're back for a second or third time on Blythe Business News. Bob, welcome for the first time. For viewers who don't know that much about Oriole, Tim, can you give us a quick recap of what you do, please?
Sure thing, Tim. So we've been around for Bob and I for a couple of years in the company. We took over during 2018, and we are essentially focused on exploration in Africa, mainly West Africa, Senegal and Cameroon. We have some legacy assets in Turkey and in some legacy investments in East Africa from our company's previous incarnation. But essentially, grassroots early stage exploration for gold. We have a partner operating our licenses in Senegal, Iamgold, a large Canadian mining company. And our Cameroonian projects are under our control. We're earning in on, with a local Cameroonian partner, on a couple of licenses, and we have some additional license applications in play in the centre and in the north of the country.
So essentially gold exploration, Cameroon, Senegal. Gold's a great place to be right now with the current gold price. So thank you for that. Bob, can I come to you? How has the COVID pandemic affected operations for Oriole in West Africa, Cameroon, Senegal?
Yeah, I mean, COVID was a particular challenge. And I think our approach to it was, it quickly became clear that we weren't going to do an awful lot of work on the ground in Cameroon during spring because Cameroon's borders were shut. So we implemented a plan of cash conservation, really. The directors and management team volunteered for pay cuts. We kind of went on part-time salaries, although the workload's been pretty constant throughout, pretty full on throughout. And we've basically tried to conserve cash so that we can hit the ground running as soon as COVID restrictions start lifting. So all our professional advisors contributed something, and the management team contributed significantly, and we feel we're in a good place to start working again now.
Okay. There's been some recent news about Iamgold commencing further drilling. Tim, can you tell us a bit more about that, please?
Yes, Iamgold started off the program in what we call the Fare prospect about a week ago now. Iamgold have been looking throughout the Sonala license, which is around about 470 square kilometres. Previously, it was called the Dalafin license, and we relinquished and reapplied for the license last year. So we've retained tenure over the whole area for the next decade. So Iamgold have been focused up in the north on this year. This is their third year of investment. Prior to that, they were down in the south, Medina Bafe and Sarudia. But the air core program's kicked off. They've got a couple of rigs running, and hopefully extending the known mineralization from the previous drilling that was done under us prior to the joint venture.
When would you hope to see some drill results?
As soon as possible, obviously. We'd like to see them. Air core drilling is pretty quick. Effectively, what they're doing is punching short holes, a number of short holes, to get through to take a single sample of the regolith below the hard cap. So they should be gathering samples very quickly. We typically, in the last air core programs that they carried out in the south of the license, they were turning them around in a couple of months. We were getting results in a couple of months. We don't know whether COVID and transport delays and so on due to COVID will impact that, but certainly we'd be looking forward to seeing some towards the end of Q3, perhaps, maybe even going into Q4.
Okay. You've just raised £419,000 for spending on the operations in Cameroon. Give us a bit of an update on what's happening there.
Well, Cameroon, as Bob mentioned, Cameroon was effectively on lockdown, and we had hoped to have been drilling by now on our northern project, Bibemi, and then moving on to Wapuzi, the neighbouring license. But unfortunately, the lockdown has prevented us from getting drilling already. So what we've done is we've taken the decision to take a small placing now, and we're going to use this money to build a mobilise program into Bibemi, and also to do some pre-work on our large package of license applications in central Cameroon. At Bibemi, we had previously mapped, we'd trenched, we'd taken grab samples. We've got a long way, but drilling is the ultimate. We need to bring in the truth machine there. So this money will go towards further work on the new licenses, further work on mobilising drill equipment for Bibemi, and preparing for the programme later in the year after the wet season, September, October time.
Okay. And then finally, you've also had some news out on your investments. I'm thinking specifically of Thani Stratex Djibouti. What's been happening there?
The Djibouti assets were spun out into a separate private company from Thani Stratex Resources late last year. And the management of that exploration effort was taken on by NurtureX, which is a group that's been funded by Ahmed Fund 3. So the program really started towards the end of last year, late November, December last year. And they started off with a drill program on Pandora, which is one of the targets, and then they moved down onto the Hesdaba target. The drilling at Pandora has been completed up to a certain point. Hesdaba, they're about halfway through, and they've had to stop, obviously because of the COVID restrictions. But they do have a number of samples out. They managed to get 2,000 meters of diamond drilling, about 1,500 meters of RC completed, and there are obviously a number of samples from that en route, or perhaps by now even at the labs. What they have managed to do in Hesdaba is to extend the footprint of the known mineralization from a trend of approximately 5 kilometers up to what is now 16 kilometers. So effectively at both prospects in Djibouti, they've really significantly advanced the exploration in the last 6 months. And we look forward to seeing results from that.
Okay. Turning away from the actual doing the mining, doing the exploration, let's just think about the strategy. Your stated strategy is asset realization. So, Bob, I mean, you've got a team there which has been actively involved in asset realization. Tim Livesey was the COO of Reservoir Minerals, which was sold to Nevsun for $365 million and then went on to be sold for an even greater amount. You and Tim together were involved in the sale of Tembo Gold for £172,000. So you've got a track record of asset realization.
Yeah, very much, Tim. Yeah, we need to, we don't want to raise while the market's poor, and we managed to get a decent sized raise away today, effectively announced today. But we need to balance that. We're trying to balance that always with asset realization, trying to get significant value from that portfolio that we can invest in Cameroon, but also things like the research and development tax credit claims that we do, which I think we are the only junior explorer that do that. And we managed to raise something like 300,000 in the last 2 years from doing the paperwork.
Bob, can I just ask you a question about the tax treatment and research and development? There are lots and lots of junior miners right now who go out and drill holes at the shareholders' expense, and that money just goes down the drill hole. You've done something a bit different and a bit clever in terms of treating this as research and development. Can you explain us exactly what you've done, please?
Yeah, sure, Tim. So I came in from a fintech background where research and development on the work you do is a fairly normal tax claim. And when I joined Oriole or Stratex at the time, it was pretty clear to me that what we were doing qualified as research. You know, we're testing a hypothesis around the economics of gold extraction, and it's basically a bunch of scientists doing that work. So to me, it was a very clear way of bringing some incoming funds in because it's a cash-backed scheme from HMRC.
I think you're being a very modest man, Mr. Smeeton, for a very clever piece of finance directorship. Can I come to you, Tim, in conclusion? Looking to the next few months, what are you excited about with regard to Oriole Resources?
Well, we have quite a lot on the plate. As Bob says, you know, the asset realization program, we are hoping to conclude parts of that over the next couple of months. So that would be nice to announce to the markets what we've been doing there, because it does look like we're doing nothing, but actually, like a duck in midstream, our legs are paddling like crazy whilst the head stays still. So that'll be nice. We also have obviously further results coming out of Senegal. We are looking forward to hearing Iamgold's decision on its Boto development, which obviously will directly impact us being the neighbouring licence at Senala. We would really like to get finalised some of our plans for mobilisation into Cameroon, get the schedule and the timings and the contracts in place for a drill contractor to prepare to mobilise and even start mobilising in to be ready at the beginning of the dry season, late September, to be able to hit the ground running as soon as we get access. And also the new licence package in Cameroon, we've been doing some desktop targeting. We will obviously expand our work on that with some of this placement funds that Bob mentioned. We will be looking at some remote sensing work just to make sure that when we hit the ground, we are best placed to be most efficient with our team's time once we get into the bush. So very busy time. Obviously results from things like Tony Stradix Djibouti would be nice to see coming in, and you know, some strategic decisions on what we're doing with investments like that and our investment in Tony Stradix Resources. So yeah, generally getting back to whatever the new normal is, and making sure that the team is able to function safely and effectively in whatever the world looks like post lockdown.
That was Tim Livesey and Bob Smeeton of Oriole Resources. Oriole trades on the AIM list in London with the ticker symbol of ORR, and currently has a market capitalization of around $2.7 million. Oriole is exploring for gold in West Africa, and if you look at their website, you'll see you've got a very experienced board of directors who've done exactly that for many years. Thank you for watching Blythe Way Business News.